下面这环节呢是这个人工智能和这个 ChatGPT。刚才 Stanley， 因为 Stanley 是这个 PIC， 他是这个课题的 host， 不巧他正好出差到这个武汉，而且呢他跟着他们大老板刚刚出去了，他刚刚给我微信，他说实在不行了，他主持不了，因此呢我就替他把他请来的2个朋友，一个是我们这个论坛的老朋友叫李晓峰，另外一位是许毅，来讲我们这人工智能和 ChatGPT。许毅我不知道来了没有啊？好，许毅先生，欢迎第一次见面。话筒交给你。
All right. Let's get started. So first of all, I wanted to have a quick survey. Like, raise your hand. I bet everyone already heard about ChatGPT, right? Raise your hand if you have ever tried it at least once. Okay, it's almost everyone. And keep your hands up if you have already intensively used ChatGPT in your daily life. All right. Okay. Still a lot of members. Yeah, so for those who have already intensively used ChatGPT, you must have felt the power of this model. Okay, first of all, a little bit about myself. My name is Yi. I'm a CTO and co-founder of TalkMeUp. I'll talk about my startup at the end. I'm a father of a 13-year-old boy. And I have been working in the industry for 17 years. I got 2 startups right now, working on the second one. When like a couple of weeks ago, when Stanley asked me to give this speech, I said yes instantly. And then I realized, wow, this topic is about AI and ChatGPT. It's quite a broad topic. I was a little bit panicked. And I'm an entrepreneur. And we're talking about the entrepreneur forum. So I'm thinking, hey, if I'm an audience, what are the questions that I will bring to this speech? So I list several questions that I might have and wanted to share some of my own thoughts. So first of all, what indeed is ChatGPT? What's a large language model? And the second one, what's a large language model? What's the impact to the industry? What's the impact to our life? And the last, as an entrepreneur, what does that mean to us? Let's take a look of this chart shows how the machine learning models evolved in the last maybe 2 decades. And you can see in terms of complexity and the capacity, you can see in the past 7-8 years, it grows exponentially in terms of the capacity. And we can see by 2010, middle of 2010, a very famous event is DeepMind created the model AlphaGo. And this AlphaGo beats the best Go players in the world. And that exactly by the time I decided to pivot to this domain, because I believe this is the technology will ultimately shape the world. And recently, with the release of ChatGPT, this is another mind blow capacity in this AI domain. People are impressed with how powerful this machine this model can perform. And typically we call that the first AI 1.0, and start right now more like a AI 2.0. I'll talk about that in a minute. AI 1.0 generally start from 2010s when a deep learning model emerged in the market, and people started to use AI technology to solve the real problems. But still, there are some limitations. As you can see, there are no super powerful models, and that means when a model to solve a problem, it is more like a domain specific, meaning that you have a model solve some problem in a domain, you cannot easily transfer to another domain and solve another problem. that means this knowledge cannot be easily transferred across different domains. Even in the same domain, maybe you have to create different models to different clients because they have different data, etc. So that's the main limitation. That means the marginal cost is high. It's hard to scale. Now we are seeing the dawn of a new age with the large language model in its core. And typically, like ChatGPT or GPT, the recent GPT-4 is the most famous models in this world. Compared with the AI 1.0, the 2.0 we'll see it's more like the super powerful model is easy to enable the transfer learning and help the AI companies to scale, meaning that this model can easily be transferred to solve a variety of different problems. Quickly zoom in, what is a large language model, namely like ChatGPT, backed by the GPT 3.5, and then the OpenAI released the GPT-4. Large is the key. The large means the magnitude of number of parameters for the model, as well as the massive training data is needed. The second language, literally saying, it's about text, words, sentences in its model. And model itself, for sure, it's like billions of numbers that presented, learned in a highly dimensional mathematics presentation of the knowledge. So how large is it? Give you a very comparison. By the first version, when OpenAI released GPT, it only has 117 millions of parameter, and then in the second version, it grows to 1.5 million, and the GPT-3 is grow to 175 billion. And ChatGPT is basically based on GPT 3.5. It's at the similar level. While recently, OpenAI released the GPT-4. Although they didn't expose like how many parameters for GPT-4, but it is said GPT-4 is as 6 times large as GPT-3, which gives it like 1 trillion parameters. It's huge. All right, with the large language model, it's enabled a lot of capacity, and it's actually, we'll see a start of the artificial general intelligence. The artificial general intelligence is a concept that we want to build a intelligence that can mimic the human complex intelligence. And from the emergence of the large language model, we see it is the beginning of this era. As simply as I mentioned, it enabled the transfer learning and scale. You may ask, like, why the language model didn't appear like 5 or 10 years ago. That is mainly because there needs 3 prerequisites. The first, it needs much more computation power. Purely by the GPT-4, it costs like $100 million purely to train the GPT-4 model. And secondly, it needs massive of training data. And third, it needs the new transformer model architecture appeared in 2018, enables the more efficient way to train the large language model. That's why, recently you only see the large language model at this magnitude. With the new large language model, it's actually shift the paradigm of AI. So back in 1990s, you can see most of the application of the machine learning more like a classic machine learning methodology. And by 2010, because the deep learning, people started to adopt deep learning technology in different industries like security, right? But with the large language model, it's totally shifted the way in the AI industry, how people will build models. Basically, all the models from now on, or like majority of the models from now on will be derived from the large language model of the large models. We see that large language model as foundation model, namely. Again, the reason why we have this large model like derived from as a foundation model is because this huge model is capable to is already capable of handling different variety of tasks and can be applied in different industries. That's why we don't, and it's enabled the transfer learning. That's why we will derive the models from the foundation models. Okay, I'll skip this one. Yeah, there's two things mentioned, like worthwhile to mention. One is emergency. Emergence. The emergence means like a very interesting behavior. During training the bigger, large model, bigger and bigger, people started to see new capacities, new abilities emerges unexpectedly. Like when the model grows to a certain gratitude, then we see the model is capable to reasoning and maybe do arithmetics. And the larger the model is, and the more maybe the more abilities it will emerge in the future. Another sense is homogenization, because the large language model is so expensive to train, there won't be too many versions in the world. And from now on, a lot of models will be derived from those foundation models, large language models. That means any issues happened in the foundation model will likely be inherited from the models derived from them. So it could result in potential issues like hallucination, biased and toxic result, or even not following people's instructions. All right, so we talk about what is a large language model, why it is like so capable, and what the potential issues are there. And then I want to talk about the impact to the industry. I happened to listen to Mr. Lu Qi's presentation a couple of weeks ago, and I think one of his idea of how large language model is impacting the world is fascinating. So I wanted to borrow this idea here. How human is changing the world is constantly following the process of like step one, sense the environment, gather information, and B, the second step, to learn from it, to extract the knowledge, build a model. And the third step is for human to apply the knowledge in the real world to change the world. And if you look at the digital transformation in the past decades, this actually seems to be following the same pattern. The firstly, like the internet, the perspective of the internet, basically most of the business are trying to help people access information anywhere, easily, cheaply. And then we are at the second stage at this moment because companies are trying to help people to access the models, knowledge everywhere. And it's not hard to anticipate in the next stage is actions is everywhere. People will be, like companies will help people to achieve actions easily and cheaply. A very interesting observation here is like in the first stage, when companies, when some of the companies are able to switch the marginal cost into a fixed cost, then that will enable the whole industry to accelerate. Meaning, for instance, Amazon and Google, they help the people to access information in a very cheap way. And that also enabled the whole industry to flourish. Now, it seems that OpenAI plus Microsoft and Google are doing the same thing. They're changing the model from the marginal cost into a fixed cost. That will also enable tons of new startups to access the models in a very cheap way. That's a very interesting observation. All right. So here I just listed some of the opportunities. I think a lot of people, a lot of posts said that will be impacted by ChatGPT, the new AI, and I won't elaborate here. Well, it's basically a lot of opportunities. It also a lot of impact to everyone of us here. I think that the message I want to convey here is that you wanted to leverage this capacity, this technology as early as possible, so that it will help you to be a better situation in upcoming competitions. All right. The last but not least, as an entrepreneur, what does that mean to us? I typically share the thoughts from my domain where I'm familiar. It's like AI and the software. First of all, be creative. I think the limit is only your imagination. Previously, it wasn't true because for AI 1.0 phrase, like the models it will be constraints. But right now, with the power of the new model, the large language model, it won't be any constraints. It's just the sky is your limit. And also, you wanted to continue focus on the real problem. That's always true for entrepreneurs. Another thing is, if you want us to start a new idea by using like ChatGPT models, you want to also evaluate the end-to-end investment. What I saying mean by that is, like, for instance, if you wanted to build a co-pilot for sales, then you also wanted to think of how many effort or investment you will have to build an end-to-end solution to integrate with all the CRMs in the market. Another thing super important is, for sure, you wanted to leverage the large language model to build your own model. That will help you to set up your barrier, your business barrier. And of course, you want to set up a feedback loop where you can gather users' feedback and help you to improve the model granularly. I wanted to take a minute to talk about what we're doing right now. As I said, my company is TalkMeUp. We are an AI company, help people to improve their communication skills. So we offer offline training and also like the online meeting analytics. Then we analyze people's facial expression, gesture, enthusiasm, eye contact, message convey, etc., and help and give people practical feedback. So with the release of ChatGPT, we have to catch the train. In short term, we've already called AI ChatGPT's API, leverage the rewrite asset and the summarization feature. It was very handy, and in the long run, we also started to build our own language model based on the open source solution, and started to build the feedback loop. With that, I'd like to wrap up my my presentation. And in the last page, I listed some of the social impact, because when a new technology appeared, it won't be perfect, but it's a good time for us to embrace it, improve it, other than like avoid it. Together, we can make this better. And we believe the best is yet to come. All right. Thank you, guys.